One thing I'm going to say, this is not a stream a video that I sit down and made where I can put like context behind it on screen. So everything we talk about, I'm just going to talk about in real time and try to explain it in the best details. But ArmA Reforger, going through Nitrado, is good. I'll give them that. That's a W for a server platform. Just how they told Nitrado to set up their servers was an L. Because instead of doing it like we've seen with other games on Nitrado, for instance, let's put in, like we're talking about Ark Survival Ascended. Okay? This is for consoles, PC, literally every platform you can mod your servers. They have mods that can be directly put into game that you can download even on consoles and play with them. These were incorporated into servers, and their way of adding mods through a UI is a whole lot better than how ArmA Reforger wants to add theirs. So instead of opening up an area inside of Nitrado called mods, where you can then go and click and install them to the server and have them be implemented correctly, no. Or at least go get their mod IDs, throw the mod IDs in, and then Nitrado will help you load order them, or you can move the load order around. No. So, the way ArmA Reforger has you do mods with this, by the way, which is very redundant. I mean, I understand it, but it's redundant, because instead of clicking on the mod and clicking install, and then already having it on the server, guess what you have to do? You have to go through a code nightmare to not only make sure you don't break brackets or the code in any way, but how the code is set up. So where like one starts and another one begins, where to put the proper, commas, the proper box material. It is a legit logistics nightmare when it comes to someone who doesn't know how to sit down and code on a computer. Being able just to point and click is a lot better. Now, I know how to code a little bit. I mean, shit, I've done custom Ark. Hell, you guys seen I've ran DayZ servers through Bohemia, which, by the way, on console weren't that bad, but also it was still a coding nightmare. But in the end, people built systems that were automated. By the way, you can go in, click what you wanted, and it would auto-fill the code in for you. Okay? So it wasn't as bad later on down the road. Bohemia, going through years of DayZ for this, right, has seen people doing this and building up a community to help other people. I guess they're trying to still inspire that through people. But again, it could have been easier through at least the mod section, where you can literally, it tells you how many gigabytes of RAM you're allowed for mod space, and be able just to click and download it straight to your server. Kind of like Ark Survival Ascended did. My bad, I was going to say Evolve, but it's Ascended. How they did. This game has failed to do that. So not only do you have to do that, you also have to make sure when you write the code in, by the way, for each mod, you can't just list the mods you want in the game, already make folders for it, and load the mods in the proper order to make sure the dependencies load first. No. Even when installing the mods, okay, to your server, when you're writing your text code, you have to look at what is obligated to what. So the first thing you have to put in is the mod ID, which connects straight to the store page. Then you have to put down the actual name of the mod, which is very fucking redundant if I have to put a fucking ID in. But oh well, maybe this is just so, again, you can be like, oh, this is what mod this ID pertains to. That way when you're looking through it and you want to update it to a new version. But anyway, instead of having the thing where you can point and click that auto-updates the version for you, you have to leave the version field blank for it to auto-update to the newest version. But also at the same time, you got to stick a version in if you want to stay with the version, right? So to have the mod, you either have to not fill it or fill it in. But anyways, there's 3 fields you basically have to type in there. Mod ID, which is the numbers. Mod name, which is the actual name to the mod. And then the mod version, which, by the way, is very stupid. It's redundant. Again, especially through other games that have asked Nitrado to do point and clicks, literally where this game could have done the same. You just point and click a mod, install it, and it's directly to the server. Going through the mod host that, is the same place PlayStation, Xbox, and PC downloads the fucking mods. But anyways, you have to load them, in the text order as the same order of adding prerequisites. Like, you need for this mod, a prerequisite for it to even be there. What it relies on. So, for instance, if you need WCS core, the first thing you got to put on that paper is WCS core. Bro, just allow me to point click and then the server auto sort that shit for me. That would not only help me, but everyone else. Because the mods already themselves, when you open up the fucking folder, already say dependencies with the little square. Bro, when it installs, just have it literally call the dependencies so they load the fuck before it when the server goes to launch. I should not have to type that out in the page. But anyways, let's keep moving forward. The server I have set up is a futuristic version of WCS. It's running, but barely. And guess what? There's actually less mods and less space taken to my server than there is on actual WCS servers. There's actually 2 mods right now that are like 200 gigabytes. That is missing from here, where I've replaced them with only stuff that is kilobytes in size. Literally kilobytes. Way less size. And for some reason, when I drive a vehicle in mine, it wants to rubber band backwards. But somehow the one it's taking more space, the vehicles drive fine. I'm sorry, my server has more space. It's not harder on the GPU or anything. And it does less, somehow. Not to mention, as you can see, I'm running at max frame rate on my console. So, for instance, 60 FPS, which does dip down. But I have nowhere near 100 ping. And somehow I still rubber band back. I'll show you guys that here in a second. So, as we're in this car, let's drive forward. So, we're just going to cut it on and start driving. Now, tell me at what point, guys, do you start seeing me kind of rubber band backwards? Kind of let me know. I'm going to say, maybe this game is trying to make me look like a liar right now, because it hasn't done it yet to me, but there it goes. There we go. I felt it. It done it 3 ticks, 4 ticks, 5 ticks. Okay. I counted them as they happen, just to see if you guys caught them at the same time. But I am getting rubber band, and this is not just vehicles. So, walking, I haven't felt any rubber banding. The only rubber banding I notice, and it's only the 2 times I've noticed it, is vehicles and AI bots. So when I make it through this town to the next town where the actual objective is, which, by the way, I am right here. When I make it closer to here, not only the AI going to shoot at me when I reach here, which is still 300 out from it. I haven't even made it up here to make that turn. But even though I'm right here, they're going to shoot at me. But when I make it here and I look up here at the AI and I see them, they'll occasionally walk around kind of like this, and then in case of times you'll see them kind of walk, stop, and then they'll somehow just be over here. It jumps them. You can see them kind of being teleported around. It's kind of weird. And it's not 100% of the time, but let's see if we can't get up here and go watch that happen and deal with, like, the rubber band issue. And to make this even funnier, is the rubber band issue only happens, again, to me in a vehicle or looking at AI. And my server, by the way, has way less mod space taken up than an actual WCS server. So a WCS server has 15 to 16 gigabytes of space taken out of 25 that you're allowed to get on console. Mine is only 12. Mind you that. Out of the 25 you get on console, mine is only 12. And somehow rubber band's harder than one of the ones taking 15 to 18 megabytes, by the way, guys. It is very weird. So you'll notice, like, the rubber band as I drive, but you'll notice the rubber band as, like, we watch the AI once we get closer. And this ain't a modded map. It's a modded mission file, but it's a map that is already in the game. So we can't say, oh, it's because it's Analia, or however you're supposed to say that. There we go. There's the rubber banding. We just watched it on stream, like, literally multiple times again. Right? Now we're coming up here where the enemy was before I died. And when I say before I died, this is like when I first started setting the server up. But they are found up here. And last I seen, they were, like, somewhere over there. I don't know if it's something I've done with the server settings, but I've noticed my thing has been rubber banding a lot. And some of that is actually, to be honest with you, I reduced the render distance. So where you're supposed to on console, I think it's like 15 to 1800. I actually turned it down to 1300. So I actually reduced it. Which, again, you'd think, okay, if you see less around you, you get more frames for that, because you're not having to render as much. So I don't know why that would be stuttering. But, yeah, they're somewhere up here on top of this hill. Because when I drove my other car up this way, there's still an enemy, like, somewhere around this tree line here. Now, I took out a good portion of them. I'm not going to lie. I've already taken out a good portion of them. That's how I knew the AI was kind of... Here we go. Let's just watch this enemy right here for a minute. I'm not going to shoot at him. I'm just going to watch him. Let's see if he has any jump stutters or anything like that. He already somehow just turns and looks this way. We can kind of see him kind of stuttering, and he's not looking directly at us. Let's go ahead and hit him in the vest, hit him in the back, drop him. Walk over here. Give him a couple more on the taps. Okay, there's still one enemy somewhere, because I don't think that was the last one. Yep. Had the idea. Look there, I didn't even have to, like, wait for him to shoot. I called it well before. Now, the server is up and going, and if you guys want to feel the stutters and see everything going on the back end, you guys can as well. If you just search up Bad Tree Squad right now, until I get this fixed, and it's basically up till tomorrow. Only done, like, it's... Technically, it was supposed to be a 3-day server, and it's only been, like, a day. So, yeah, Nitrado. I love that, man. I paid for a 3-day server, but yeah, literally, it was up literally last night until today, and then literally says it ends tomorrow. That's not been 3 days. That's basically one 24-hour cycle with maybe a 4-hour cycle after. And again, server's supposed to be 3 days. So, Nitrado, we need to really take a look at that as well. But anyways, the AI is going to be a little bit hard to kind of pick out. So we're just going to be chilling just for a second, see if we can see any little bit of movement. I mean, technically, I am running the base version of ArmA settings when it comes into, like, when you go to Nitrado, the first things that load in. I'm running that. I've left it where it's -1 on the AI spawning, which, by the way, just means it doesn't actually count how much AI is spawning in, because you can cap it. You can say 50, and then at that point, only 50 AI can spawn. So I left it normal, which is probably what WCS does anyways. Especially, like, if you're placing down AI, I think those count as AI as well. It spawns like that. So to make sure everybody could place down what they needed to with the tents on each location and stuff, I left it normal. The only thing I changed legitimately is the render distance. So instead of leaving it at 15 or 1800, whatever that bit is, I toned it down to something like 1300. So overall, no matter what console you're on, you can only see 1,300 meters. Now, I did up the grass, like how far away the grass renders, so maybe that could be doing it. But again, at most, you're only allowed up to 50 meters. Grass only goes up to 50 meters, as in 50. That's all Nitrado will allow you to set. So 50 meters is still really good. And I can set that to 0 to see if that's what's causing it. Because I am basically the person who owns the server. I paid Nitrado for it and setting it up myself because I'm learning the steps to doing, ArmA Reforger servers. But again, at the very beginning of this, I told you guys like a mods. They could have just made it literally a click to install the mod, not code lines. Okay, because again, on Nitrado, especially if you know what ASA is, Arc Survival Ascended, literally if I switch the server over to Arc Survival Ascended, reinstalled Arc Survival Ascended, any mods I've paid for, I can put over there on the server. And literally to install it, all I have to do literally is click on mod section in Nitrado, scroll through the mods list, click on it, and click install. And that's all I have to do to put the mod onto the server. And it actually just recalls it itself from the same mod location as you would get it when you go click mods or workshop or whatever like that. It literally recalls it from the same location as the consoles would pull from. So any mods that show up under the consoles, for instance, if I was to exit right here, let's pretend like this is ASA, not really ArmA Reforger, but we're going to use ArmA Reforger as well here as an example. Okay. So for instance, when you click workshop right here, where you go in and search mods, right? This is the same place Nitrado would be pulling from. They'd be literally clicking on this and being able to click install, and then it would auto install the dependencies. Kind of like if you're on a console clicking in to install something. That's how Nitrado's mod system works for other games. But ArmA decided to make it the obsolete, where you have to actually type in the mod ID number. You have to type in the mod name alongside the mod ID number and the version. Like ArmA devs. I'm gonna have to say, bro, Bohemia. That's kind of a dumbass thing you guys had people do. You could have literally made mod installment to servers that are paid for on Nitrado or anywhere else a whole lot easier to install the mods. Especially when people run mods that are actually really, really cool. So one of the things for that is, for instance, like the Ace mods, right? Instead of the dev or anything like that, we are running Ace Core. But right here's all this, and then this is going to be one that we do have. We do need to update it. So let's go ahead and click update. All Arsenal items to private. So what that does is just sets in WCS every Arsenal item, literally even the fucking intervention, to private. Okay, so anyone can run any weapon, and that's what I put on my server. That's one of the things that's on the server. But from that mod, we also have another one which just doesn't work, so I'm going to remove it anyways, and I wish it did, because I feel like the WCS bullshit they're pulling with the rank systems for certain things or saving weapons is fucking stupid. But the blacklisting to suppressors off weapons. I didn't know a suppressor was like a fully automatic RPG-7. Like, you see how the stupidity there of banning a suppressor is, right? Don't blacklist suppressors from being saved in Arsenal. Hell, I can save a fucking grenade launcher? with fucking 8 fucking reloads to it, something that actually propels and explodes, I can save. But I can't save a fucking suppressor? No. Guys, seriously, watch this. Let's go to a WCS server, which I'll also show you how stupid some of this stuff is, because it is very stupid, by the way, guys. Enable dependencies. Oh, God, okay. So, for instance, I'm going to let you guys see an A server compared to mine. So if we do this and we go to something like Glenwood, guys, 13.4 gigabytes of space totaled through every bit of this compared to literally mine, which is only 12. Okay. I'm actually missing 1.1 gigabytes from this. And we will have to change the 103 to 104. But everything else here is up to date. Literally, I use the most updated versions of every one of the mods. Okay, that's just who I am. I'm going to go and take the server offline for mine and remove the versions and leave it blank. So that way it'll auto update the version every time I restart the server. But anyways, let's talk about something kind of ridiculous here. Even like Rahalia here, for some reason, I went to do my own version of this, and I'm not joking. I went to do my own version of this, which is 13.9 gigabytes, where I've removed out like a couple of like things I didn't really care about. Okay. Um, like the Abrams was missing. AWM Middle Eastern version, or maybe not. I might have actually had that. I don't remember if I did or didn't there. Joint light tactical vehicles, that was missing. Okay, I'll say that was missing. And then the dev stuff here, by the way, doesn't fucking work for anyone, except for some reason it works for these guys. I went through and wrote down every one of their mods, and just as a test phase, went and literally like installed every mod to its latest version, which is the dev mods to the non-developer versions. Like Ace Radio Dev. Guess what? When I went to load it, my server would fucking crash constantly. I'm not talking about like when I join in, I would run around and then crash. No. Literally, it would say my server is online. 2 seconds later, it would say restarting server. It would literally crash that fucking quick. And it only done it with the dev mods, because you know why? The dev mods couldn't find setting profiles that needed to be there. So literally every time it went to load those, it would say, sorry, this is missing, and then literally shut the server down and restart it, and keep doing that over and over and over. And that's with all the dev mods. I'm not joking with you guys. Every one of the fucking dev mods to this done that. Only ones that work correctly are the regular mods. For me to run on the server you see now are the regular mods. So where you see Ace Core Dev, I have to run Ace Core non-dev. All right. And that's going to be the same with every one of you guys. The dev parts do not work, which tells me the people that set the server up here are people who've created the Ace mods in general. So when they run the dev version, they secretly somehow give them access to be able to run those mods. Or they created the file so they can move it into the server that we don't get because it does not install them. But besides that point, that's not on them. I mean, it kind of is, but that's mainly on ArmA. Because instead of being able to point, click, and download through a click system to make mod loading easier, would be better. Right? Which would be the same way of being able to click in here as if you're on a fucking PlayStation or Xbox to install mods than having to type down some fucking code like we're back in the 1970s. Right? But anyways, again, I'm just showing you guys this. Let's load in. Okay, we're doing Analia, which is my favorite one. Best map I think they can come up with. I just don't like how they've done the weather system with this one. It's the only thing I will say against it. The weather system. On the map side. Not WCS, but the map. For some reason, in broad daylight, there's flashes of lightning. Make that make sense. I don't know about you, but where I set out here and live, the only time I've ever seen actual lightning, like the streaks coming out of the sky, is nighttime. Or it turns really dull and cloudy, right? Where it gets really dark. And then there's lightning. But there'll be no clouds in the sky. And then you'll just hear and then lightning come down. Like, bro, where the fuck are the clouds? And especially if it's supposed to be a rainy bit. But anyways, I think this just restarted. Like, they won and blah, blah. We'll wait and see. I can hear a heli, so I think somebody's reached the rank by now. Now notice, I'm getting only 20 FPS in this, by the way, guys. 33. There we go. Everything's, I guess, still having to load in or something. How am I seeing helicopters with no placed... There we go. I was about to say no placed objects. It took it that long to load in. But anyways, you seen me? I just now spawned in. And I get a grenade launcher. With, if you look at the bottom right, 7 rounds. I can make this better for you. Alright? I can make it 100% better for you. You guys ready? Okay. I am going to suicide, respawn, which will give me a timer, which I find retarded, by the way, guys. In a video game, even if I suicide, and a lot of times people don't do this just to do it. I mean, I do watch it happen. There are some people that do, but 90% of the people do it for 2 reasons. Either they don't have anyone around with a fucking med kit that can, like, you know, heal them, and they're having to literally limp their ass at a speed of a turtle to try to make it somewhere, instead of having to walk for about 30 minutes to get somewhere for someone to finally heal you. They suicide. Or B, they get shot at by an enemy, which is the second half. They get knocked out, and instead of waiting literally for every bit of their blood to leave their system, their screen to turn fucking gray and pass the fuck out to catch the respawn screen, instead of waiting 30 minutes for that to happen, they pause the game, click respawn so they can just get right the fuck back at base, re-gear up, fly the fuck back out, right? Instead of waiting 30 minutes, just literally just staring at their fucking screen. That's 90% of the time the top 2 reasons people will click the respawn. Okay? I done it willy-nilly just to show you guys a little thing, but look, I just spawned in, and guess what I have? You guessed it. I have an M203, okay, actually, wrong button. M203 grenade launcher. Okay, if I do this, see, we have the grenade launcher on the bottom of our gun. Okay, you guys can see. We have a grenade launcher. With, again, if I pull that back out, 7 rounds. Technically 8. We got one in with 7, meaning 7 reloads. We got 8 shots of this thing. Okay? We got 8 rounds of explosive ammunition that we can save in our loadout. Okay? But yet the moment, and I'll show you guys, I can. So M4A1 block 2, as you can see. I can hold this, save loadout. Loadout saved. I have nothing saying nothing worked, right? And this is the gun one. Okay? If I go up, okay, and I go into, where is it? Open arsenal. The moment I add a suppressor to this gun. Okay. A suppressor. Does not matter which one. We'll throw a suppressor on this bitch. The very first one up there. Mark III suppressor. Okay. And then I tried to do the same thing, save loadout. Oh, looky there, cannot be saved because insufficient rank or one or more items is blacklisted. Item blacklisted for loadout saving, Mark III suppressor. So you're going to tell me a suppressor, hold on, a suppressor is banned from doing loadies. Okay? But a M203 grenade launcher isn't?
WCS is gay as fuck.
Yeah, they are. You can even hear him there. I didn't even realize my left hand pushed the fucking mic trigger to activate my mic. But you guys can see, even the dude walked up and goes, WCF is gay, my dude. Like, literally, he literally said that in the background. And that is why we installed the mod to deter all that. Which, by the way, that mod doesn't work with WCS anymore. Like, literally, it goes back to, like, I think, like, the third iteration update of WCS, and then they quit updating it. And WCS has came really far since then. So we need a mod developer who is competent enough to actually know how to make ArmA mods, that knows how to look at WCS, or even take WCS, like somehow port it into their like, you know, when you download the mod, unpackage it, look at how they set all the settings, and then literally just remove the suppressor from the banned items list, and then repack the mod and ship it as WCT or something. So that way it's not S and being copyrighted, but it basically does the same thing as WCS. And then actually have a better version of the mod. Would be crazy. That'd actually be really awesome. But anyways, loadouts should not be blocked. I mean, I get like blocking in a launcher, but I also don't at the same time. Especially in WCS where, I don't know, you're spawning on a forward attack base, meaning any base on the fucking front line of warfare, to then go take another base. The enemy drives up in what sometimes, guys? Or flies in with what sometimes? I'll give you a hint. The M1 Abrams is a fucking mod, and if you don't know what the fuck that is, it's a fucking tank. So you're going to tell me they can drive a tank into my frontline base, but I cannot save a loadout to spawn in to take that fucking tank out with? It's crazy. What balancing went on there? Because that's not balancing, my dude. When somebody can pull the tank up, I have to spawn in and run to my arsenal and literally hope to God the tank setting 3 feet from my arsenal just looks at me and goes, yep, go ahead and get that RPG. Yep, okay, I'll let you shoot me with it once or twice, and then I'll shoot you. Like, literally, they're just going to pull the trigger. I'm dead. I try to make my way there to grab the RPG. I'm dead. Okay, so they don't know how to balance shit. I'm sorry, blacklisting rocket launchers, blacklisting suppressors is crazy. Secondhand. Now, I agree with being able to prevent people from spawning in helicopters that, you know, have a million fucking rockets and they can shoot them like quick as fuck, doing CAS runs, which is also known as CAS runs on a base. Just make it when the vehicle explodes. There's a timer. You don't get D-ranked, because realistically, if I go in the military, I become a captain. And let's say in the military as a captain, I'm able to request air support or even fly a chopper. Just because I get in the chopper does not mean I go from captain backwards in rank. Okay? That's not how rank works. The biggest ways to get demotion is if you failed to do something. If someone above you in rank gives you an order and you directly tell them no, you're probably going to take a rank loss. If I walked up into the military in real life walked up to a teammate in the military and shot them in the head. Not only am I catching a D rank, but I'm getting court-martialed, if not shot on the fucking spot. So D rank systems need to be tweaked in that. Okay? Just because I don't want to lay on my ass for like 30 minutes to bleed the fuck out, I just want to respawn and get right back into the action where it's fun. Don't derank me. Okay? It's horrible. Nobody wants to lay there for 30 minutes unless they're like the hardest fucking hardcore, like role play member. They're in a fucking 6-man squad of people where 2 people are actually playing as medics. Then I could see it. But a random like me who's just going into a server, nah. Sorry, I get shot, I'm bleeding out, I'm respawning. Okay, unless I know there's like someone 2 feet away, then I'll probably wait. But if we're still getting shot at and I know it's not safe for them to get me, it's better that I just respawn and try to make it back and actually help the team fucking push. Next, respawn timers. I don't like them. I do and I don't. One reason, if I'm spawning on the main base, which is really far from combat, I should not have to wait 30 fucking seconds to do so if I've suicided so many times from respawning back, being incapacitated, right? Meaning I'm laying on my fucking ass just waiting for someone to revive me, who, a lot of people will not do, but also at the same time, I'm not going to sit there while they're being shot at to be like, can I catch a revive, bro? Can you walk out here and get a headshot just so you can try and revive me? Like, nah, bro. Not happening. For my team, I'm respawning on that shit. I should not get a 30-second fucking marker for that. Okay? Shouldn't. Remove the exponentially growing timer as well. When that happens, at first you get like a 5-second timer, then it's a 12-second, then it's a 15 or 16-second, and then it jumps to a fucking 30. That shit is horrible. Remove it. Okay? But anyways, we're not here to discuss completely broken mods. We're here to discuss server setup. So again, as you've watched, I can save with certain things. I have less megabytes being thrown into my server, and somehow I get rubber band issues while these guys get to fly helis and drive vehicles with no rubber band issues, and their shit takes more on the server. Their RAM is being hit harder on the server than mine is, but mine gets rubber banding. And mind you, I sit down and actually made sure in the load order as well that I typed out if Ace bandaging needs the Ace core mod, right? Ace core mod is higher up on the fucking list. That way, everything that requires Ace core is below it. That way, Ace core is loaded first. Okay? I actually went through and looked at what needed what and made sure I laid everything that needed an object below the object it needed, which means it loaded after it. That way, it could load the dependency first. And I get rubber banding. How does that make sense, guys? On top of that, my servers are so weird. They're missing settings. I'm not joking. When I went through my server setup, both times missed settings when I installed it through Nitrado, right? So when I initially done my settings for Nitrado, there was no mod section. When I went and scrolled through to look at all the different settings, just the stuff that was in Nitrado you can directly click yes or no to was the only thing that showed up in the main server settings INI file. Then after reinstalling my server, because I ended up breaking it, trying to just change a couple of the settings. I was like, just in case it's breaking, it's not letting me load the server. So I was like, I'll reinstall the server. After reinstalling the server, the actual server settings file popped up, as in for mods. It actually showed where the mod section's supposed to be listed. But both times there's another setting that never was in there. I didn't see. I was looking at a YouTube video, and then the YouTube video shown like, hey, there's supposed to be something here for like mission type, right? Which is not just the, little file path that tells you like what map and if it's conflict. No. This other one, literally, there's two sections, and I will go read them both to you from my computer right now. Let's take a step back to my room right quick, hop on my computer, and let you guys know the stuff that was missing. That the next install, which I never did a next install, I just copied the code and pasted in where I seen it was supposed to go and made sure I done it correctly because I looked at the dude that was, doing his own servers. Yeah, let's take a quick little gander, shall we? So on the computer, I am sitting at the computer. Let's open up the config.json file, which is the JSON. Okay. So for instance, the part we was missing is game mode. There is a section that is called scenario ID that popped up and I was able to select everything, but the game mode section was gone. Nothing. Okay? I had to paste that bitch in myself in order to fix that code bit. Because the only thing it popped up was the name, which is the server name, password for admin, scenario ID, max players, if the server is visible or not, meaning I can give you guys an IP to connect to or not. Server properties, which is going to be server max view distance, which I set to 1300. I think this originally was 1500, so we'll go ahead and fix that back out. We'll put it back to 15 just in case subtracting 200 meters somehow created an issue. Network view distance, which is 500. This is default, by the way, guys. 500 is default. I didn't touch it. I didn't know like if more is good, less is bad. I didn't know if that could be edited. Then server min grass distance. This usually is 0, so I'll set that to Z. Actually, hold on. We'll do this, and then we'll do something like 0 here. That way I can make sure it's in the correct spot. So we'll set it to 0. Disable third person, true, because I don't want people to go to third person, sit around a corner, wait in third like you would get on the old ArmA shit that you would have in like King of the Hill or any other server. BattleEye is true. Then Von disable UI something. I've clicked that as false because of the fact of that's what the default was. Disable direct speech UI, false. Von can transmit cross faction, that's false because that's default, by the way. And then we come down to where it's mod, like where you get your mods. By the way, this is supposed to be underneath that section. I had to look at someone else's video, but I put it in correctly. Where then you have to, underneath mods, go down one, and then you do the opening, and then you do mod ID. Underneath that, mod name, and underneath that, basically the mod version, which it just says version, but it's the mod version. Now, the mod version, we're just going to set this to blank. We're going to make sure that has nothing, so the server always updates to the recent version. This will always leave blank. Okay, so we're going to do that for each one. But the mods I have installed right now is Ace Core, Ace Medical Core, Ace Medical Hit Zones, Ace Tactical Periscope, Ace Trenches, which I think is the thing people can build with the little shovel tool, Ace Chopping, which is the where you can take like a shovel and chop trees, Ace Finger, which is what allows us to point, Ace Tactical Ladder allows us to place like little tactical ladders. I don't know how to do it on console yet. I haven't tried doing it. Ace Explosives, where, you can actually, I guess, plan explosives or something. WCS Suppression, which, by the way, is a WCS mod. It actually did not require anything. There was no dependency for that. When I looked at it, literally I scrolled to check dependencies. There was none. That's why it's here. Then underneath that, just to make sure we covered the WCS core, it is here. WCS core is here. Then we have RHS Content Pack 1. Okay. And then we have bad something day. Oh, well, technically this is Content Pack 2. So it's Content Pack 2. Sorry, I was looking at its like mod ID, not the name. Which is like bad code debay dace is literally how that's actually spelled in the coding. It's literally BADCODE DABBEDASE. Literally somehow they got that with the content pack, which is kind of weird. And then the funny thing is with like content pack 1, the ending 4 literally is beef. BEEF. I found that quite cool when I was installing the mods to the server. But anyways, let's get back on the thing. After Content Pack 2, we have RHS Status Quo, WCS Clothing Assets, WCS Clothing, which, by the way, I probably could switch those around and be able to get the clothing going correctly. So let's go ahead and do that here. So we can just copy this. And then what we're going to do is, whoops, I did not mean to turn the light fixture to my pad off. Boop. We're going to go right here. We're going to go down one, back one, back one, back one, and then paste. So this way we're actually just adding that mod before the assets one. That way we get clothing and then clothing assets. Okay. Just because I think that is the load order we should have it in. So maybe it had a load order a thing going bad there. But then we have WCS attachments. Okay. WCS scopes. We have WCS sounds. WCS NATO. WCS RU. WCS loadout editor. Okay. WCS armbands. WCS weapons. WCS RHS weapons. WCS arsenal. Okay. WCS underscore AH-1S, which I think is a vehicle mod. Ilmar ZR, which WCS mods require. WCS settings, which, by the way, that is actually like settings and stuff like that. Everything after this will require the Ilmar ZR option here. I don't even think the weapons needed it. I looked at all the dependencies and this loaded here, but I could raise the load order for this just to make sure. But we know the server's working. It's running. It's not crashing at the moment. So we're just going to leave it alone. But WCS settings, WCS ZU23-2, okay, wire cutters 2, AKI core, AKI core upgrade. Okay, notice I put the core, then it's upgrade. We have the WCS H64D, spawn protection for WCS, the AFK kick for WCS, player map markers should it actually, some of the stuff actually requires that from the WCS mod. And then we have Space Core, which also is required from some of the WCS stuff and other stuff. Stun Grenade, WCS Vehicles is here, which actually I think I need to move vehicles above the WCS AH64D. So we're actually going to go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and do this mod. So we're just going to copy this. Then we're going to hit delete back and then go up above all the different vehicles. So make sure we do, because I think AKI core is fine. That is fine. Right here is where that would be. So paste and we're good to go. So at least we're loading the vehicle mod before everything that requires that has vehicles in the name. All right, scrolling back down now. actually make sure we... Okay, good. I was making sure I deleted the version. Then we have WCS commands. Okay, a WCS vehicle lock. WCS temp fixes, which, by the way, I don't even know what that does. I didn't read the thing. I just seen it was on the WCS servers and decided, like, hey, maybe we use it. Tactical animation overhaul test, which is the TAO mod that you see. It's T.A.O. I literally wanted to see what that was, and it's actually that mod. WCS H-6M. Okay. Now notice what I say underneath it. WCS H6M upgrade. Okay, so I put the upgrade after the main vehicle because the main vehicle needs to load and then the mod underneath it. So I did make sure I did that. Okay. So we're going to just go ahead and delete the thing from this, which is the LMI24V and then the AH64D upgrade, where I think that was like somewhere up top, or technically I think this goes directly to a vehicle that's already in the game. And then the KA-52. Then we have the tank markers, WCS helicopters, which, by the way, I do need to move this up in its rank order, I believe, because it needs to go next to the vehicles. That way I can make sure if anything's a WCS heli, it's not like blocking that off. So let's go up here, find where I've done the WCS vehicles and put that in. So right here, vehicles. And then after that is our helicopter mod. So WCS helicopters. And then we need to go down here and find the one I just did so I can make sure I delete it, which is right here. There. Then we have the M1 Abrams, which I decided to put back into the mods list. Then we have the WCS earplugs, the WCS JLTV upgrade, the WCS rules, by the way. We have WCS Desert. That way, in case people want to wear the desert uniforms and stuff like that, which technically ain't using the desert map right now. I wanted to, but the desert map glitched and decided to just leave it in. WCS grenades. Then we have WCS MI24V upgrade, which again, I guess is an item already in the game. Then we have the RS laser attachment for the fact of this is actually required by the mod below it, which is the Barrett M82. By the way, guys, for some reason, it's not actually showing up in the game. The file loads, but it's not actually in the game. I can't actually see the Barrett. Then we have the Barrett M82 Fix, which, by the way, changes the weight of the magazines and the recoil pattern to the Barrett, which technically is something I needed to fix the Barrett after seeing that. Remove WCS Arsenal Blacklist. By the way, this means I should be able to save without needing to like literally a suppressor is supposed to be able to let me save with it, and this mod still has not worked. But anyways, then we have all arsenal items to private, which, by the way, that's the one that lets me use any item out of the weapons area. And then we have our WCS Everon, which, by the way, Everon is a base map, as in when you start up the thing, you are able to do that. We have removed all the mod versions, so this way the version actually doesn't show up, and it auto takes the most recent version every time the server restarts, which is great. But anyways, underneath that, we're back down to the regular stuff that came with the Nitrato stuff, which is if it's cross-platform able, which I turned true. Then it said supported platforms, which, by the way, even with cross-platform on, it doesn't tell you what the Xbox or PlayStation ID tag there is. Literally, it just says platform_PC, and then that's the only one that pops up. I don't know what Xbox is, don't know what PlayStation is. I don't even know where the fuck to go look for those. But anyways, it's that. Next, it goes into operating, which goes into lobby player synchronize, which is true. join queue, which is the max size after that, which asks us, like, for the join queue, what the max size of that join queue is, which is 10 people. I've set it to 10. Technically, I think this should be no, because it has this right here, so that belongs there. If I move that, it would actually mess the code up. Good thing I didn't do that just yet. And then slot reservation timeout. So, for instance, if you're AFK for more than 60 minutes, which is 1 hour, I believe, because I don't think that's 60 seconds, that's minutes, is 60, which is what it comes to with being regular. I might lower that to 30. So let's go ahead and lower that to 30. So that way it's actually, you know what? Let's do 15, like 15 minutes. If you're AFK longer than 15 minutes, which is very reasonable, by the way, technically this should be something like 10. You know what? We'll do like 8 minutes. We'll do 8. If you're AFK for more than 8 minutes, you are then kicked. Because realistically, you should be able to use a bathroom break or do whatever you're doing in less than 8 minutes. If you can't make it back before then, that's on you. Disable AI is false, so that way we can actually have AI, especially in the towns when they first render in. Then the AI limit is -1. This is so it actually it doesn't check to say, hey, there's more than 50 AI or whatever. Negative numbers don't count. And that's what it actually says in there. But -1 just makes it so that way, like, if we'll say there's 100 AI on the map, it doesn't say, hey, whoa, that's more than 50. I mean, technically, we could lower this number. So, and by doing so, I can set a number of max allowed AI. So we'll do 50. We'll say 50 AI is the max amount of AI left on the server. Save. All right, so now that we got all this loaded, which is the same mods, by the way, guys, when I restart the server, it'll just download the updated versions of these, and make sure they're up to date. And what I will do is remove one mod that I noticed isn't working anyways, which is the remove WCS Arsenal blacklist. For some reason, this mod just is not working. So again, from I think it's like open parenthesis or whatever that thing is, I just copy pasted this in here and made sure it was like pasted correctly. With the mod ID, name, version, and then the closure for it that also has the comma needs to go. Boom. File, save. And again, they could have made this easier. Way easier. You could go to ArmA, well, not ArmA, Ark Survival Ascended servers. I literally changed this over to an Ark Survival Ascended server for 1 day. To download mods to that, I don't have to code to go download my mods. Literally, it would auto do it. I could go in, click mods in Nitrado, and then scroll through the mods list, click on it, and click install the server. Okay, which would be 100% better. Like, come on, ArmA. Why the fuck are we back in the 1970s with how we install mods to servers? But anyways, make sure we don't have... Okay, we're good there. File, we did save. Now we can close this. And what I'm going to do is port this into my server. And to do so is very simple. We're just going to open up our server area. We're going to click stop server, stop, and wait for the server to stop. By the way, the memory usage, it is not even above 3K. Literally, it is touching the bottom of the 3. And we can go all the way up, it looks like, for a 4th dot up to 4K. Okay, to a 4th K, by the way. And it's nowhere near touching that. All right, literally, we are setting at, like, RAM is like 36 point, like 0.036.00 out of, I don't even know how much we can get. Because it's not even touching the top of the bar. Like, if you ever play Ark servers and you download a lot of mods, you can see that bitch literally come all the way up to almost touch that fucking bar. And they still run smooth, by the way, even with that. But this is nowhere near maxing out my fucking RAM. And this is usage in megabytes, by the way. The RAM is nowhere near the top. And somehow I am stuttering in game. So that's why we are doing this. I've clicked stop server, and I love how it decided not to stop. All right, we're just going to wait on my server to stop now because Nitrado's being a little bit slow. But anyways, to go get the mods now, for example, if I type in ArmA Reforger mods and then search that, we're going to see ArmA Platform, ArmA Reforger Workshop. By the way, Nitrado could already be going through this just for click and install without needing to do the process I'm going to tell you guys. So, for instance, let's try doing blacklist again as one word and seeing if there's anything in here. So, MKA blacklist, wick underscore WCS blacklist remover, which, by the way, is not the mod we had. So, let's just go take a look at it. WCS Arsenal Blacklist Remover description enables save suppressors and rocket launchers. Last edit was WCS Arsenal 4.0.23. So if we actually go look at that right quick, let's open up another thing. So technically this is supposed to be WCS Arsenal. So it'd be this mod here, open a new link. We are setting at 6.0.30, by the way, for the Arsenal, WCS Arsenal. Which, by the way, needs content pack 1, status quo, clothing, NATO, RU, attachments, loadout editor, armbands, armaments, scopes, sounds, core, weapons, WCS and RHS weapons pack, WCS clothing assets, and RHS content pack 2. Okay? It requires all those to be loaded before it can even be put into the list. But anyways, we do have this, and actually I noticed something in here which is armaments. I want to make sure I actually do have this mod, so we are going to take a quick little look-see at the config JSON, or JSON, however you want to say it, Control F, and then we're going to do AMR for ARM. And then we have armbands, but I do not see anything for armaments. So I think I need to actually add that in. And that's why we're having some of the extra stuff kind of bug out. But I mean, the server loads without it. It's ARMA. So ARM, like ARMA, and then mints. Okay. So we can actually do ARMA and see if anything loads in there. It doesn't. We actually need to grab this mod. So we're going to go right here. We're going to hit copy, and just underneath armbands, actually, we'll go above that. We'll go like right here above NATO. Control paste. So we got another armbands right here, which we put underneath that. Make sure we still have the other one. We do. All right, so now this is how you actually set up the mods to be installed. So, thank you. So armaments, we need to copy the ID. So we just click on the clipboard next to the thing, go into our thing here, go to the armband ones. That is the duplicate, and paste the ID over the other one's ID. Then from there, what we are going to do is go look at the name, which is WCS underscore armaments. We're going to have to copy that, go into our notepad, find where WCS armbands was for the duplicate, and make sure the new name actually says WCS Armor Mints. And then from there, we need to look at the version, which in this case, we're not going to put a version, so it auto downloads the version, but the version would be 6.0.22, by the way, for the most recent version. Just wanted to point that out, so I will make sure that this gets added in. and that isn't what's causing a good amount of stuttering. So we do have the armaments mod in our WCS lineup. All right, from there we can make sure. So WCS clothing, we do have. I want to know how they're getting. Yeah, clothing assets and clothing. How are they getting like masks in WCS? Because I don't see any mods to the mods list when I looked at it for like masks and shit that go in the helmet section. I didn't see anything for that. But back to what we were doing earlier. Oh God, I probably should have like looked at this because I said I was going to need to add it, which will go to the bottom anyways, down here. So we'll do this. So right here, we are going to copy, come right here, back, paste, because we need another one for this. And what we're going to do is copy this, which is the mod ID, because this is the WIC WCS blacklist remover, which I don't even know if it works in this version or not. We're just going to give it a try. Okay, so boom. Then we need to go look at, we'll put it underneath this one so we can actually paste in our code. Then what we're going to do is go grab the name. So we actually got to copy that and then throw that underneath this section. Boom. So now we have that, and then make sure the version is up to date, which by the way is the very first version, is literally 1.0.0. First version, no changes, by the way. And this mod was created on, yeah, created 23/10 of 2025 and last modified 23/10 of 2025, by the way. So I feel like we do need a new version now through all this time. But this mod is 3.59 kilobytes. It's not going to add a lot. So technically, we still haven't even used our 1 point something of kilobyte space. Because we still haven't got our. And we did do the vehicles. We did that. I didn't do the other vehicle mod. That's what it was. It was like something vehicles, which I think it was Middle Eastern vehicles, I believe was the name of the mod. We have not done that. All right. Now that we got these all in here updated, let's see if my server stopped. It seems it did. It says offline. And it says 1 day left, by the way, guys, which I find stupid. I literally bought this server for 3 days. It's supposed to be a 3-day trial, not a 2, a 3. And I've only had it for about 20, like a little over 24 hours. So, Nitrado, thank you for ripping me off. But I will say they only ripped me off like $5. I'm not joking. All right, let's go into our config files, by the way. This is where this all gets set up. And I need to make sure my scenario ID matches the scenario ID over there. So I'm just going to do this and copy this right quick. Go into the one I modded here and make sure the scenario ID, this is the same one I have in Nitrado, and then make sure the server name, I'm thinking of like updating the name. So we're going to have this open, call it US, close it, okay, and then add a space, and then it's going to be called BTS AAS, and then NSA. Or actually, technically, this is not NSA anymore. It is I think Everon. So we're going to say Everon. And Then what we'll do is copy this. Copy. Head over here. Yeah, Evron. Make sure this, paste, and file, save. Saves everything. So it'll be US, BTS, AAS, Evron is going to be the new name. Password of the admin. I'm not going to give that out, but I am going to change it to that. Then scenario ID matches, max players matches, that matches. And then the game mode, I need to go look at that. So I need to scroll down, find where it says game mode, which, oh, I just realized something. I think my game mode got deleted from here, and that's why it's being a little weird. Because the scenario ID is here, but then the mods is here, but then the game mode is missing. So the new implementation to everything should fix that, because the game mode will be there, the new mods list will be there, the updated mods will be there. All right, so now I can actually grab this, and then we're just going to select all, copy, move that over here, select all, delete everything on the page, paste in what I have through my notepad, and we are going to scroll up and click Save Changes. We're going to let this save, so give it a minute. Click it again, give it a minute. Okay, we're just going to literally just make sure this saves by just spamming the save button over and over, and make sure it actually saves everything on this page. Then from there, we just click Dashboard. And then after Dashboard, we wait for this where it says server is stopped. We're going to give it an extra minute, and we're going to click Start Server. Now it should load everything. The mods should all install correctly. Now, the last mod could have a chance at crashing this. Like I said, I don't know if it goes with it or not, or if it's going to crash anything, because it could. And now we're not going to worry about like putting in versions. We're just doing this. We've updated all the settings. It's going to implement everything correctly. We're just going to let it do its thing. Right now it says a new update will be installed now. We're going to let that do that. Okay. So again, I just walked you through everything I had to do. One by one, I sit here and test, move stuff around, get everything put in until it works. And I have to do this every time, especially if I want to add a mod, remove mods. I have to look at dependencies. Yeah, it gets ridiculous. And to show you, my server is no longer going to show up here. So to actually find it, what we have to do is go here, go to the search field, and then we got to type in BTS. And notice it hasn't popped up yet. That's because I'm guessing it's still back there doing its thing. So yeah, the way they have you set it up through Nitrado is through, like, I call it an outdated system. It is outdated. Okay? Horribly outdated. Let's see. The server will now restart. So it's off the update set, the update bit, and into this. Let's see if this loads. Let's see if it actually stays stable. Oh, guess what? A new update again, which is not surprising. Let's go ahead and click on Quick Connect. And after Quick Connect, we're just going to minimize the screen. And what I want to look at is under the ArmA Windows, we're going to go to Logs, click on Logs again, refresh, and what I'm looking for is a time that matches basically 4 o'clock in the morning. which right now the recent one for logs is under 8 o'clock. Well, technically, yeah, 8 o'clock, like yesterday. Which, by the way, has console log, error.log, and scripts. We take a look at error logs. We can see that no module info used, trying to identify, and then like 0x78666600000. Grass material class not find purling noise texture system textures purling.edds is a render thing. Material, which is like SMAA effects. Area texture not found. Same thing, not found. Compiling game scripts, and literally it's just like pages on pages of like errors and stuff where I think it's like trying to redo it again. We got some stuff of replication. It looks like, yeah, like entity 709, 710, 711, 712, 713, and 714 are replications. Replications, entity prefab loads, entity prefab load, unknown keywords. Yeah, there's a lot. Even like, where'd I see that? It looked like something said texture in here. Yeah, no, wrong GUID name. Get resource object failed to load for like a lot of stuff. 337 comma and 49 with like those IDs up to 50, then 338 to 52, 338 to 53, 339 to 52, all the way up, counting from going from 338 to 339, then 340, then 341, 342, a 343, and another 343. Yeah, just straight up like back end stuff. There's like resource leaks and a lot of stuff, man. So yeah, and then the script log is another thing here, which loaded 382 times files, 516 classes, used 559 of 2097 kilobytes, 26% of something static memory, right? Just pointed that out. But yeah, there's a lot that was going on here. Let's see how the server's actually coming along. It looks like right now it is still doing the server will restart. Will now restart. Um, yeah, it says restarting. Let's see if it actually starts. Oh no, guess what? Another update, and it's giving me force stop or force start. So that tells me one thing: something
How your night?
is crashing. My night is going. How do I put this? I'm healthy and good, but I'm about to have a fucking aneurysm of how like ArmA decided to do their servers with Nitrado. I the way they make you have to install a server or set up one through Nitrado, you have to be some kind of like space engineer in order to run one. I'm not joking. Because literally, in order to add mods, you have to code the mods. You can't just point and click like you do with Ark Survival Ascended. Literally, you just point, like, literally under the UI of Nitrado, click mods, scroll through a list of mods, click on it, and click install. No. I have to literally type in the mod ID, the mod name, and the version, and make sure I'm doing this all correctly in the correct code uniform, or else it breaks. Like I fear has already happened. But for me, I think I know the mod that broke it. So what I'm going to do is stop the server, delete the mod, get everything fixed, and see some stuff going on with that, which you guys don't get to see the back end of me doing that because I can't switch over to my PC screen from console because I'm not using anything with the setup for that. But we'll be okay. So to fix this, I just go in here and we need to go delete the new mod I just added, which is WIC underscore WCS blacklist remover. Everything else used to work. So we're just going to just get that out of here. File. Save. Okay, select all. Copy. And back into here we go. Go to config files. Select all. Paste. I'm wondering if the way I done the name system might have broke, because instead of using this, let's try using something like, where is it? This. Maybe I just need to do that right here. And maybe that'll fix it. Save changes. That way we're not using anything that actually formalizes into code as well. So we're just make 110% sure, and then we're just going to save changes, start the server. Then come over here and do the same to this over here. Whoops, I just realized I didn't do something I need to do. We'll be fine though. We'll just do that right quick. And then select all, copy, back into here. And we're just going to go ahead and change this. So paste there. That way I know that this isn't eating off of that. Save the changes. And that should fix everything out. Hopefully, should fix everything out. All right, now we're just going to close that and let this set in the background and see if it restarts. If it doesn't, I'll just have to force stop and then restart the server again, because it might still be trying to load with the code that I just replaced while doing that. Also, guys, if anything hits this mic, or you hear anything like that, like I just did with my finger, and it just sounds weird, to go through the hallway to my room, I put up a little, kind of like a curtain.
Hey BTW, not sure if you mean to share your screen while explaining all this, but your screen is only the multiplayer menu on Reforger.
I cannot share my screen, my friend. Due to the fact of I'm not using a capture card like I do have, but my console is way too far away from my computer to use said capture card. So it's a card that I told one of my friends that I'm probably going to shoot off to him and send him for free. I ain't going to make him pay for it. And another reason for that is where I was looking for a 4K capture card, the box itself said 4K, but then after plugging the item in, I realized that it's just a 4K upscale, meaning it kind of still takes everything as 1080, but whenever I take it in 1080, I can just have it upscaled to 4K. It's not something it directly pulls 4K. The reason for that is I put HDMIs that actually can do 4K to my TV, and I've noticed on PS5 that when plugged in directly to my TV, I can run 4K. I can click it on my console. But when I try porting it through my capture card to where it still goes to my TV, but also could be ported over to a PC to record using OBS, it literally does not give me that option anymore. Literally, it just strictly says like I can only go to 1080 at that point. That's a loadable, as we know that I can actually game in 4K. So yeah, it's more of like a record in 1080 upscaled into 4K whenever we actually hit a computer with it. But we're going to see if this actually pops up at any point. We'll kind of do this. I will go check it on my computer right now to see if it's still doing the crashing or not.
Okay.
Yeah. But, oh my God, it is still saying restarting. Am I in a crash cycle loop again? I swear they don't know how to. Come on, dude. This is going to literally give me a headache. Web interface. I want to see what all is actually going on. Is it stuck in the restart loop where it says it's going to update? Or, yeah, it's stuck in the freaking cycle loop. So, I don't know. ArmA Reforger, I don't really feel like is worth me wanting to spend money to make a server for. It's a good thing that I looked at it because I wanted to see how the server was going to run, because when I get my taxes back and I actually get a tax refund coming back to me, it's over $600. I was actually going to use that to put a ArmA Reforger server up. But then I looked at Pombo and we got to talk, and he's like, "I'll donate you $5 if you do the the 3-day one, and just take a look at the coding and get yourself familiarized with it before you put yours up." And I was like, "Okay, I'll do that." Um, Sitting here looking at it, dude, it's not worth the money. It's not. So anyone that right now wants to look at like doing ArmA Reforger servers, don't, don't, don't waste your money. Don't waste your sanity, because you're going to go insane literally thinking of, well, I made sure the mod orders are correct. My server's stuck in
Nightmarish, huh?
fucking. Yeah, it's nightmarish. My server's stuck in a updating, then restarting, and then updating and restarting fucking loop because something in it is crashing. So the only way I can think to fix it at this point is completely clear out the mods folder and let it reinstall everything back. But at that way, we could still end up in the cycle, and the items that I know wasn't broken and was working would still be the same. Yeah, dude, it's the same thing. I'm stuck in the cycle to the point where it's force stop server, force start server. So we're gonna click force stop, because if I force start it, there is one thing that can happen. It loads with no mods. I get nothing, and it's the bare bones version of an ArmA server, which will not have any of my mods in it. Bro, I literally clicked force stop server. It stopped, and then immediately went into server will now restart. And I have no automated server start, stop, or restarts. Nitrato, brother, I force stopped the server. Why are we doing this? Oh boy, it's a fucking headache. And I can't blame Nitrato completely. Because again, like once this actually goes away, I'll do this just for today and show you guys something pretty cool, which is Ark Survival Ascended. What we'll do is I'll make an Ark Survival Ascended server for console, right? And go through how the setup to that is. I can't share screen it, but I'll tell you verbally what I'm clicking, how the server setup is, the options I get to change, and how to change them, which some of the stuff we'll have to use what's called, which is not what called, it's an application that is called Beacon, which allows us to set up like what drops and drops and add dino spawns and dino overrides and stuff like that we actually paste into the hard code, which is automated. I don't have to sit down and do it myself, which is great, apart from just point and clicks. So whoever made that application, wonderful, but with how long this game has been out and nothing like that has been made for it, especially when you're having to add mods to
Who
your
else other
server.
than Nitrato
So,
are this way, or is Nitrato so far the only service you've tried?
to be honest with you, no, I've tried multiple. I just can't remember the names of the others. And Nitrato is actually pretty good. It's not Nitrato. Okay, I will point that out. Nitrato is actually a good server host. It's the companies that shackle Nitrato. And the reason I'm saying shackle, for instance, Arc, I can point click and click download. No issues. Even with Nitrato, point click click download, done. But ArmA, okay, which is ArmA Reforger. Well, technically, I should say Bohemia Interactive, the actual company who makes ArmA and DayZ, is the people shackling or creating the bullshit for Nitrado to be stupid when it comes to how to install mods for servers for this. Because Bohemia wants mod introductory. Any setting changes you do, okay, instead of being like a point click switch or install through an actual key function like Nitrado is actually set up to be able to do, they want you to put it in like we're back in the dinosaur ages. That's actually Bohemia causing that, not Nitrado. Okay, not the service provider I'm using. It's the actual developers of the game. And I hate to say that in a mean way towards Bohemia, because let's be honest, I used to love ArmA 2, ArmA 2 DayZ mod, ArmA 3, ArmA 3 Epoch, ArmA 3 Apex, right? I used to actually play those all the time, especially in ArmA 3. I'd done Koth, which is King of the Hill. I used to infill squads from spawn, literally about 100 meters from the main green tower in the center of the fucking town. Literally as hot drops. Get in there quick, hover the heli, feet off the ground, not really high, just a foot or two, for people to jump out of the heli while it's still hovering. And then after everyone disembarks, immediately fly back out of the hot zone, back to the spawn, pick up more people, and drop them back. I used to be a pilot that done that, okay, when it came to ArmA 3, King of the Hill. I did play Exile. I did play ArmA 2, ArmA 2 DayZ. I do understand DayZ came from ArmA 2 DayZ mod, okay, which is actually great. Around that period, the developers were wonderful. The reason I say that is they took a mod everybody loved playing and turned it into a game. But then they look at today's, I want to say the generation between when DayZ was made to literally ArmA Reforger was made. We'll say that generation, they looked at people creating tools to, I don't know, auto set up servers to like code everything for you. So you just copy paste it. And instead of doing the same and adding options into Nitrado or any server host themselves to make server setup easier, they still went with the dinosaur method. Instead of following the group, right? The trend, like they did with DayZ. They should have looked at how people were trying to set up servers and made servers a little easier to set up. They should have worked with Nitrado and implemented, because if you ever notice, when you downloaded a ArmA Reforger mod, it goes through their own mod launcher, right? Which, by the way, is how you download it even from PS5 or Xbox and PC. They could have gave that privilege to Nitrado, where Nitrado could have easily already went through their service to then be able to click when you're in the server, click for the mod to be downloaded directly straight to the server. So then it's already going to update the mod that's on the server when a mod comes out with an update. Once something's broken, the developer patches it, right? It'll already get that update on every restart. But also the cool thing is you could already click to download everything, make sure it's loaded in the proper order, and have the perfect stability. Because literally when trying to click on it, it will tell you right there, downloaded dependencies, and you have to go through and click to download them before you can even download the main thing you wanted. And that way everything is set in its correct bit. You don't have to go through with the headache of clicking what mod needs what, and that one needs this, and trying to put it in the proper order for your mod list and load order on the back end of things through a text document, which is how they're wanting you to do it now, and that's why I'm calling it the dinosaur ages. Bohemia, let's get out of the sticks and stones dinosaur age and at least move to the fucking stone age, shall we? Okay, I know I said sticks and stones. You get the idea. Let's get out of the Jurassic period, the paleo theory, paleo period, and move at least to like at least cavemen now. Okay, allow us to literally point, click, and get stuff done a lot faster and easier. That way, at least we can see some evolution to not only help the gamers, help the people want to set up servers, make things a little easier, but also feel like you're actually doing something for quality of life, especially server side. Would be awesome. Um, Now, I'm not saying do it to the point where you're forcing everybody to have to do the point and click method. I'm pretty sure there's people out there who
If you're
like
gonna
doing the
update your
dinosaur
game,
method.
it only makes sense to also do it for modding.
Thank you. Thank you. But, anyways, like, I'm not saying you have to update everything to a point. There's people out there who do like having to know the knowledge of how to sit down and type everything. But, give the option. Do you want someone to do it, or do you want someone to be able to point and click? So that option to be used through no matter which person wants to do it, they can do it their way. You can make it easy or you can make it hard. Make it a choice, not something someone has to do. Would be awesome. That way, we don't have a lot of back end problems, especially for new people trying to get into servers and, create their own, and don't know the first thing about like how the code actually works. You don't just type out military box placement on top of hill at name of location. You actually have to put in the location down to exactments, which is very, very, very harsh to do. Okay? Because not only do you have to do the degrees, the coordinates, the tilt, this, that, X, Y, and Z, I mean, there's things that already help you do that, especially if you went in DayZ and you made custom maps. Load up DayZ on a computer and then download, I forget what the mod is actually called, but I actually did it for my modded stuff, which, by the way, I had to borrow my cousin's computer because mine can't run DayZ. I had to borrow his fucking computer in order to place the shit, save the file, and port it in order to get it into my server. But people made mods where you can put your own custom stuff, delete things, save it, and then literally port it, right? And I feel like especially like people that want custom maps, and let's say they own DayZ or ArmA Reforger and they want custom maps, console players not only if they want custom shit have to buy the game twice, but they have to buy two separate consoles. Think of that. When I say consoles, they have to buy a PS5. They play for a minute. They want a server and customize stuff. Then they have to literally buy a PC. And then guess what? Not only did they buy the game on PS5, now they have to buy the game also on PC. So that goes literally around $3,000 in total with the budget build PC and the PS5. And that's minus both games, which now is probably another extra $100 because the $50 on Steam and the $50 on the console, it's more expensive to do so. And not everyone has a PC. Hence why a lot of people go, especially with the money they make, maybe they don't get enough to buy an actual good PC for gaming. So they end up buying a PS5 or an Xbox, which is the whole reason the console wars are a thing, is because people are like, Xbox is better, PlayStation's better, and it's all preference. But, anyways, not everyone has the money to just go blow $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 on a computer and then still pick up a $50 game in order to make custom maps. And at that point, if you're buying a PC, why would I still be on my console? Beats the whole console concept. So with that being said, if someone wants to do custom features like custom maps, give the option that doesn't involve you having to buy the game again. Would be awesome. Okay? Maybe somehow I could port it from console to a flash drive and then do that. But even then, you still have to go to a computer to do the server. But even then, at least I can go to a library, open up the server browser in order to actually apply the settings, and then restart the server, and then leave a library. At that point, I'm not gaming. I'm doing something, which, the library probably doesn't like. But at least I'm not sitting there having to actually download ArmA to a library computer. If anyone's actually having to do stuff like that from a library computer, I feel for you. But anyways, we need something to actually mitigate how servers run and how people do custom stuff to balance out the fairness to where even console can do it without needing to buy a computer. Okay. We need some type of point and click system inside a server hosting in order to install mods to servers without having to code, and make sure you code them in the proper order. This way we don't have the issue of, you see what's going on right now with the server stuck in a fucking limbo, and notice is not popping up here. So now I'm having to play tech support for literally a headaching 3 hours to figure this out of why my mods quit working when they just worked, when the only thing I did was remove the version. That way, literally, it even states in Bohemia's main website, leave the mod version empty. That way it auto updates. You don't have to worry about keep typing a mod version in to get the latest version. It will auto update to the latest version. Issues? Not working? Literally the only thing I deleted at this point, I made it so grass renders less, which actually helps stability of the server and console players. That way we don't get rubber banding as much. So I reduced stuff. I didn't make it more intensive. I actually made the optimization to optimize on top of actually run less mods on my server for a requirement than other servers. Make that make sense that I'm rubber banding, I'm having issues, and I actually use less. Literally 1.1 megabytes less than a WCS server, and somehow I get rubber banding. And WCS servers at least run, preferably when driving, pretty smooth 99.9% of the time. And I'm actually using less CPU than they are. Really makes less sense when you listen to that. On top of, how many times do I need to click force stop over here on a server for it never to force stop? I'm not joking. Force stop, stop. Thank you. I literally had to close the page to reopen it to do it again to get it to stop. All right. Quick connect. Okay. ArmA Windows config. One, we need to fix this JSON file. So we're just going to do that right quick with the new one. Port it in. Thank you. And then what we're going to do is go in the same thing. We're going to go to logs. We're going to go to add-ons. We're going to click on chopping, which is at the very top of the list, all the way down to wire cutters. Delete. And wait on every add-on, every mod, even the ones that worked fine before, to uninstall. That way we can reinstall everything. By the way, will take time. Way too much time. And I'm hoping this will actually fix everything out, because everything that worked before should still work. Because the only mod I added when everything stopped working, I removed. So it's still right now deleting mods. As crazy as that sounds, guys. Still deleting, still deleting, still deleting. This all should be done pretty quickly. Okay. It's not downloading, it's just deleting. The files could just be just going, oh, that's a file, rip. Okay, that's realistically how that should be filling. But all right, all the add-ons are gone, which should get reinstalled. We're going to go ahead and delete every log, by the way. That way we only get the most recent logs, like the logs that just now pop up when I go to start the server, if that makes sense. Also, we're going to make sure this was up to date. Did I actually delete the mod out of here? I believe I did with this one. It looks to be so. We no longer have the blacklisted items mod, which was the one that was breaking everything, okay? Which is the only mod I added that now got removed. Make sure that this was actually, hold on. Something here went and saved. Okay, we're going to do that right quick. Save, and make sure nothing here is broke. Scroll through real quick. Select all. Copy. We're going to open up our config files. Just to make sure, we're going to go right here. Select all. Come on, where are you at? There you are. Paste. Save changes, so that way we can make sure everything that needs to be grabbed is grabbed correctly. Okay. Again, the only thing missing is the version, so that way it gets the most recent version of the stuff. I don't have to keep typing a new version in every time. It's the only thing here. I made sure the name is US BTS AAS Evron, which stands for what it used to mean. Bad Tree Squad BTS. Okay. But the type of server is AAS. Okay. Which, by the way, is Conflict AAS Layout 3, which I already put that in there. The game mode is scenario _ game mode _ campaign, which, by the way, is what comes in the mod directory when you go to type in the scenario. So I made sure this is correct. Everything there matches. All right. From there, the scenario ID to this goes to the scenario, which is at the very bottom. I made sure the scenario, which comes off of WCS Evron, is here. The mod is here. It is placed, and well said and true, by the way. So everything is loading in nicely, and I can't put it at the very top because guess what? Evron does have a requirement for Ace Core. So to make sure Ace Core was on the top for everything needing Ace is there. Same as WCS mods, in case it needed anything there, which by the way is WCS Evron. It needed WCS Core or something to do with WCS. By the way, that is now at the very top. So when I say that is at the top of everything for WCS, so we had to put it near the bottom. Okay. It is there. I made sure of that. Save changes. Start server. Start server. I saved twice just to make sure it is saved. We're going to go to dashboard while this is doing loading. There we go. Server will now restart. It's going to go through restart and it's going to go through update. As I just said, it's going to go through an update because it has to re-download all the mods. Okay, so it's going to download the most recent versions of the mods. And we're going to see if this runs. If this doesn't run, I'm sorry, but they need to fix something. Both with Bohemia and Nitrado. They need to team up and make servers easier to run. Okay, they do. Coffee. It's always good. Coffee is. And let's see if this starts. I'm not going to lie, for this to start at one time, I had to go to bed. I started it at like, I think 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3. Literally laid down for bed, woke up the next day, looked at the logs to see how many times it crashed, if crashed, because I just went under the log thing, clicked like refresh, and noticed the last log was at like 6 o'clock in the morning, like 6 something. And from that 6 o'clock in the morning, the server actually was running. So from like 2 or 3, it went all the way to 6 o'clock to actually make a confirmed log of server has started. Yeah. Which, by the way, was day 1, which was yesterday. On a server, it's supposed to be for 3 days. So we'll see here in a minute if BTS shows up or if it doesn't. And the funny thing is, it only oofs out when you're doing mods with the Nitrado version so far. I've noticed that because every time I load the game without mods, the server shows up. Anytime I try to do WCS, like if I want to make my own version of WCS servers that I feel like should have been made, how WCS should have been, hence the example of, being able to fly a little bird at rank private, like not the transport, not the fucking, what is it, supply chopper, but the transport, right? I should be able to load people up and fly to combat as a private. Okay? That way I can get into combat and I'm not having to drive a big ass clunky vehicle, aka the truck transport. Which, by the way, the truck transport also carries 1,500 supplies. Now tell me, why do I need to become a captain to fly the smallest helicopter? Literally the smallest. I get it, it flies faster, it's easier to control. And it really is, by the way. If you fly the big clunky choppers, they're harder. But I have to be a higher rank to fly something that's easy to fly, on top of a higher rank to fly something that carries less supplies. Think of that. I'm going to call it the Hummingbird. Okay, that's what we all know it from ArmA 3 and ArmA 2. The Hummingbird. Okay? You fly the Hummingbird, and it is the version that can carry supplies. It is called the Hummingbird Supply Chopper. Okay? It only carries 600 supplies compared to a truck, right? Think of it like the transport covered, or the uncovered version, right? Carries 1,500 supplies. Literally nearly double. Well, actually, it is double because 600 plus 600 is 1,200. It carries 1,500. The truck does. But yeah, I can drive a truck. It delivers 1,500 supplies at the rank of private, but I can't fly a chopper that not only carries less supplies, but also is the easiest to control. Literally, if you get on the big chunguses, which by the way, you unlock it like lieutenant, I believe, which is before captain. Or something. I forget what the rank system of this is. I don't know if it's like full military or not, but I do know it's the same names. I just don't know if it goes in the same order correctly the entire time. I just know that you can be lower than a captain rank and get a big chungus. Okay, something that carries at least 1,000 supplies, which is also less than the fucking truck. But anyways, 1,000 supplies. And that thing is hard as fuck not only to fly because of how it feels clunky. Like if you tilt the chopper, it feels like it takes forever to fight to retilt the chopper. Okay, so if you tilt it a little too far one way, it feels like you have to fight like hell to reflip it so you don't crash. But anyways, besides that, trying to land it on a helipad to drop supplies off or in a good spot, dude, good luck. Even if you turn auto hover on, that bitch moves more than a fucking fat belly roll when a fat man jumps and you watch it jiggle. So trying to land it in a good spot, even harder to do. Okay? You're going to tell me someone at a lower rank can fly that? But the easiest chopper, not only is it faster, it's easier, you can lend it easier, and carries less supplies than every other fucking thing in the game. I have to for some reason be a higher rank for that. Like, where's the fucking balancing? If you're at least going to do it and you're going to make it somewhat real, the easier it is to fly something should be lower on the rank ladder. Okay, especially if it carries less supplies than any other thing in the game. Literally 600, there is nothing that carries less than that. Every other thing carries between 700 to 1500. Carries more. Make that make sense, WCS. Again, I'm not here to try to be completely mean to WCS. I'm just trying to point out flaws they made that's been around since they made the fucking mod, let's be honest. Secondhand. All right, WCS. I already showed this on screen earlier when I first made this fucking live stream, but I'm going to cover it again just for anybody coming and returning or clicked late. I can save the game with a grenade launcher and its ammunition in my inventory. Okay, which is something that you can actually shoot that goes boom. The equivalent to a lightweight RPG, although it doesn't blow up tanks, but again, I can shoot buildings, walls, and, people with it and make them go boom. I can save with that. But I can't save with a suppressor. Something that is actually not a silencer. It doesn't make you totally silent. There's a reason it's called a suppressor and not a silencer. It just suppresses the shot. So it's not as loud. But dear Lord, you can still hear it. Someone shooting 100 meters from you can still hear the pew, pew. They still hear it. They still can run to you and shoot you. The bigger the gun, the louder it is, the further away they can hear you, by the way. You can take the M200, which is the intervention, okay, in the game. You can take the intervention. Think of Call of Duty for a minute when I'm saying that name. You can take it, throw a suppressor on it, and you can set 1,000 out, and they can still hear the from the suppressed version of it. Okay? Literally 1,000 out, they can still hear it. Why is that blacklisted? It doesn't turn your gun into an automatic explosive device. I can't take a sniper rifle with a suppressor and go and it go boom like the helicopters you got do. I'm sorry, it just suppresses the thing. It doesn't silence it. Why is it blacklisted? Why are you calling it OP? It's not. Okay? Let me save with it. Suppressors should never have been blacklisted. Now, I'd understand suppressors being blacklisted only on select items. And do you know what those items are? I'll give you a hint. Have you ever heard of subsonic ammunition? Okay. a gun that shoots subsonic rounds, which is, it doesn't break the sound barrier, which is already not as loud. Throwing a suppressor onto that, making it optimally like fucking quiet. Okay? That I could understand. Blacklist suppressors on. Dear Lord, I wouldn't mind that one. But a regular M4A1 with tracer rounds? Does not need a blacklisted suppressor. Remove the blacklist for it. An AK, remove the blacklist for it. Okay? Those things still go boom when you shoot a fucking suppressor through it. With a suppressor attached, it still goes boom. Okay? It doesn't silence it completely. Hell, I can hear people shooting the honey badger at least 50 meters. I can hear the so I know they're near me. And I'm like, okay, they're in one of these fucking buildings right here. Let's hunt them down. I still hear it. Suppressors don't need a blacklist. Anyone who thinks they do are probably people that play without headphones. I hate to say that. It's the fucking wake up at 6 o'clock, get off at 9 p.m. Dads who go to work for construction or whatever, who also chooses not to buy headphones. When they bought their PlayStation or computer, they never paid for a set of headphones. Those are the only people that are going to disagree with me saying, don't blacklist suppressors. Okay. I understand the conundrum of landmines. Trust me, I do. Why you guys have those blacklisted? For being able to save, I understand. Trust me, I do. I can agree. Not to mention, do you know how many times I've seen people go to bases, not capture them, but stand on it long enough to place landmine after landmine after landmine and then run away? I can understand banning the landmines. Rocket launchers, though, maybe fix something with the carry weights. That way people can only carry 3 rockets. And then after that, the launcher itself, force that so there's no more they can carry past that. And then let them save. Because especially if they're going to spawn in and protect the front line, which is something you kind of want to happen, and here comes an enemy Abrams tank driving down the road, do you want them to shoot that with the launcher, try to prevent a tank from taking the zone, as in actually defend it? Or do you want them stuck in a fucking arsenal all day, trying to pull the launcher and its ammo to die to the tank? So launchers, like rocket launchers, RPGs, AT4s, do not need a blacklist. The ammunition for it does not need a blacklist. Just only allow them to carry a certain amount of rounds, which is 3. 1 in the gun, 2 on backup. That is the max anyone should be able to carry. That is the way I feel. Next, remove the respawn timer. Okay? I get it, if someone's spawning constantly on the front lines and making it so they can't attack, that would be kind of broken. But the main base, the MOB, which by the way I call the MB because I call it main base, which is faster than calling it main operating base. Okay, just main base really, really quick, which is also what it's marked as on the map, by the way. When you zoom in, it doesn't say MOB or main operating base. It just says main base. Right? Should never have a respawn timer. Never. especially if it's supposed to be somewhere safe, meaning like, you have in your rules no attacking the opposing team or the other team, however you want to word that, on your IQ level. No offense to anyone who doesn't know what certain words mean, but I'm going to say it both ways so that way you can see the IQ I have. Is not supposed to be attacked anyways, as in it's supposed to be safe. Like we'll say NATO can attack Russia's main base, and Russia cannot attack NATO's main base. Those bases, especially since you have to load in a chopper or a car, fly and drive to location, should be 0 always on the timer. I should be able to spawn on it no matter how many times I've suicided. I should be able to just spawn on it. Especially since main base doesn't actually run out of supplies. It's infinite. Because of the fact you don't actually go outside the map to come back in the map to supply it. Over time, it will literally gradually 100 supplies, 200, 300, especially if there's 23,000 supplies. A truck only uses 1,500 of that. Dude, not even 5 seconds of delivering something and coming back, the main base is already back to 26,000 supplies. Okay? It's infinite. So no matter how many people just constantly respawn and click main base, they aren't actually going to ruin everyone's experience. No timer. And the timer's there to prevent people at the front lines wasting supplies to the bases at the front lines. I do understand a timer there. Okay? I do. So maybe the forward operating bases, FOBs, right, should have a timer. Main base should not. What else should we cover? Why we're sitting here waiting. Let's cover the conundrum of vehicle timers. And it is a conundrum because it is something like you don't want people to spawn a Cobra and constantly cast run. I understand that. Again, OP helis, put a timer on it. And instead of 200 seconds, to be honest with you, I would prefer something like 350. Yes, it's way longer, but it's actually, one, helping server performance because you don't have as many drops to fucking FPS happening. But then enemies actually have to strategize on how they use their choppers. Same as your team, have to strategize. They can't just go in and go, oh, I'm just waiting 200 seconds if I crash. 200 seconds still really ain't that long. If you think about it, 120 is 2 minutes. You're equivalently making them basically only 2 times the amount of that. You're making them wait 3 to 4 minutes for a copter. Okay. Technically, I feel like that should be 5 minutes. So look at in seconds, goes into 5 minutes, and make it 5 minutes before anyone could call it an Apache or, Blackhawks, pretty much. Anything without guns should be spawnable immediately. That way, let's say someone is new to flying the helis. Heaven forbid they hopped on your server, but let's say they're new because they're used to like Grand Theft Auto or any other console game where helis don't actually have cant, tilt, and rotation to fly. Mind blown. But anyways, other games on console do not have that. Look at literally Ghost Recon Breakpoint, right? On console, there's no can't tilt or rotation. You can't angle the chopper forward to the point where it's going to smash into the ground, right? You can't rotate the chopper to where the wings pointed towards the ground and you have a chance at crashing. There's none of that. But let's say someone does that, hops onto your server. Maybe they don't want the official filling because the official felt too hard and they didn't want to have to learn how to grind the game. They're hopping to a modded version where usually things are easier. Example, you collect resources faster in Ark because they're modded. You can have the higher harvest rates, to get tools faster, to get to certain things, to try them. But anyways, they hop in yours and they get in a heli. Maybe it's the first time ever flying. Someone gave them one off their rank. Or maybe they finally grinded up to it using transport trucks, taking 4 hours, going literally down a big-ass hill, slow turtle-like coming back up the hill. Because instead of having a balanced, flat land for people to be able to take the trucks back and forth quickly, you guys literally made it where it's an uphill climb that the trucks sometimes don't even want to fucking make. They'll stop and try to roll backwards on. But anyways, right? They spend a long time trying to get to and fro making deliveries. With the same truck, they're not driving down a hill, dropping it off, killing themselves, spawning back on main base, grabbing a new truck, and driving down the hill, right? And rinse and repeat, which, by the way, uses up your thing to derank you, not only get you a higher respawn timer, which is why people try to go back and forth with it. But anyways, they crash their heli. End of story. They don't know how the tilt and cant and rotation and all this other shit works. It's their first time getting in, and they smack the ground. Heli gone. They probably die, right? And if they don't make it too high in the sky, maybe they broke their legs. Or they got the safeness of the main spawn base, right? Main base. So they got the safe zone, so they don't actually hurt themselves. But the heli's gone. They run back over to grab a new one. Maybe they learned from a mistake they did. They're waiting. Even for non-weaponized helis. Just something for transport has a timer. Remove the timer. Okay? Especially for transport vehicles. The transport vehicle is out. They go down the hill a little ways. And it's not within that 200-second timer. And they get shot. And they have to respond back at main base. Especially if the enemy finishes them off. Maybe they actually want to wait for a medic. And the enemy just shoots them in the head and finishes them off. And forces them to respawn at main base. They can't grab a vehicle. What do? Wait there for 200 seconds or run on foot down the hill for 500 meters to get to the next area. Remove the timer. It is horrible. Okay? I'm pointing that out because there's things that happen that players can't control. Example, cheaters, WCS servers. Do you know how many people I've seen cheat? Literally cheat. And I'm not talking about killing me. No. I'm talking about I join onto a team, and trust me, my cousin joined the enemy team because you're auto-balancing, so we can't be on the same team. You're forcing him to the other side. Where I'm like, okay, well, you attack this base. I'll wait till I'm the last one, and then we can 1v1. That way it'll be fair, and I'm not able to hunt you down because I know what you're doing because we're in the same party. So when you're trying to come up with a scheme, I know you're not where you're pushing from and snipe you and make it unfair, right, to my cousin. He wants to push. I'll wait till it's like a boss fight. I'm the boss. 1v1. But where I'm literally watching my teammate, shit you not, trace his ass, who never seen him. He's literally with buildings in his way. Literally sitting on one side next to me. In front of him, buildings, like a town. To the left of him, buildings, like a town. Okay, so he can't see through the buildings to see my cousin move. The only way I see my cousin is because I got the height. I can see over the buildings, okay? Because the buildings aren't side by side and it's only one layer. No. They're staggered and there's 2 to 3 layers of building. Meaning, even if I look around one, I still have another one on the other side of that alley covering the backdrop. Okay, so you cannot see through them. I watched my cousin from my height try to sneak out of the mountains after landing a chopper, rotate to the left side of the town, and I'm not giving any call outs to my team because I wanted to watch this dude. I thought he was weird at first, so I was like, I'll wait. I'm not going to give any call outs. I want to watch, right? So I watched my teammate. But anyways, I'm also seeing my cousin out of the corner of my eyes using periffs. I can see my cousin crouch when he's walking, and I know the dude cannot hear him. Okay? The distance from my teammate to my cousin, you're not hearing it. And I watched this dude blatantly stare at my cousin through walls. Literally just tracking him like, okay, he's still there, turn around, starts building, turns back, looks through the wall. Yep, he's rotated that way. Okay, he stopped right there. I can go back to building and literally do this. Okay? On WCS servers. So on top of cheaters that do that and literally can kill someone and force them to respawn, no matter what, is kind of weird that there's a fucking timer on vehicles and respawn. I've literally watched it firsthand, right? I watched my cousin the other day on his point of view, POV. You know, he wasn't streaming, but he clipped it and sent it to me. He sneaks up to an enemy base. He's outside the cap distance. It's not saying your base is under attack. It tells him nothing. He's outside of that. Lays down with bushes, trees. Fuck it. He's obscured on his screen from a V of a tree. Okay? He has to look through the branches of a tree to try to see this dude, who's probably only between 100 and 150 meters. By the way, the tree is still there for the other dude. It ain't like everything despawned. Everything is still there for the other dude. My cousin just ADS looking at him. He goes from building to full auto fire with zero fucking recoil, double doming my cousin. Literally everything was a headshot only on like super rapid fire rate. And never seen my cousin once legitimately. Forcing my cousin to respawn. Okay? There's times I've questioned, like when I'm sneaking, how does somebody know I'm there? I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they could hear me. Maybe they seen me from another angle. Maybe I got called out by a teammate of theirs. But sometimes I do view it, and I can see they're 100% cheating. Like when I'm on the other team, looking at my teammate follow someone through a wall or two, like multiple walls. Like, dude, he watched him through from the center of town, watch somebody walk the outskirts of town through like 3 or 4 walls. Okay? No sound, no real visual. Track them through the wall. So I can't say everyone is clean, but I can't call everyone a cheater. But I'm saying I've seen those situations. Right? 110%. And some of them I can call out myself. Like, dude, I'm staring at you. I'm 300 meters away. Sounds were going on, like tanks, helicopters, something going on. And somehow you just know I'm there. Like, you do not hear me because my footsteps aren't going to be louder than the of a tank driving by you. And somehow you're going to sit there and say, you heard me. Yeah, right. I hate to be that mean, but yeah, right. And my server complete crashed, by the way, guys. Like, it says start server after going through the update and restarting server loop. It actually crashed itself this time. So I'm thinking of changing it to a server I would probably run and play on through a different game that I know is on console. And just saying screw ArmA Reforger servers till Bohemia actually gets off their caveman ass and actually gets with the program of today's shit and not 1960s computer / like old time coding / like server setup. This ain't the 60s no more. Get with the program. Okay. But anyways, that's not only like what I'm saying with mod wise, but Bohemia wise with server setup, which mainly what this stream is about. But I wanted to get into the WCS shit as well, that I find very stupid. And I'm not the only one who agrees with it, especially when, let's go to workshop right quick. Actually, instead of workshop, let's go to mod manager and go look at certain mods right quick, which I do have Rua and stuff. But anyways, let's see about, not Glenwood, not those, not that. That right there, I think, is what I actually need for one of the things. And then instead of overhaul test, because they have dev this and that. But anyways, what I'm looking for is not NSA, not that, not Glenwood, not any of these. Do I not have it actually installed? Or is it over to the right? Okay, it might actually be over here somewhere. I might have overlooked it. No, I didn't. So I've overlooked it somewhere over here. But anyways, we'll just do this. We'll go to workshop and then just search it up over here to show you guys. I'm not the only one who agrees. So if I just type in blacklist right quick. Blacklist. Look how many mods. WCSO blacklist suppressor. WCSO blacklist. Yeah. Okay. Not only did multiple mod devs think of this and don't like it, but right here, blacklist remover, which is very small, has 17 dependencies. Okay, which, by the way, I could go to dependencies, and this is everything that it needs. Okay. But anyways, I can't see the downloads here of how many people have downloaded it. I can do that from the computer. I just can't do it from this one. But this actually had a good amount of downloads, by the way, like a few thousand, on top of everyone else that had done these, which also probably has a few thousand. And here's the one I used before, by the way, missing dependencies. Okay, which, by the way, now I'm missing dependencies on the console. I just didn't in there because I have all this in there, by the way. Just figured I'd point that out. But anyways, yeah. Like, it has an 80% thumbs up. Wick WCS Blacklist Remover has 100% thumbs up, by the way. A lot of people do not want the blacklist. And the funny thing is, the blacklist version of half of this, as you can see, removes the blacklist items from WCS Arsenal, allows to save loadouts that contain the M200 intervention. Items initially being blacklisted was Intervention Black Suppress, the Intervention FDE Suppressed, the 9K38 IGLA, and then the is that L or I, M92 Stinger. And that's not the only thing. It was the suppressors too. But like, if we come in here, enabled save suppressors and rocket launchers. Okay, which is this is the one I just tried to put in and then deleted because I've noticed my server was still crashing with it, with doing this type of stuff. But you get the idea, right? Like, nobody wants shit that isn't broken to be blacklisted. Okay, because suppressors, again, isn't blacklisted. Well, it is blacklisted. It isn't broken. They still make sound. They just suppress it. Not to zero sound. There's still a very, very good amount of sound. And some of the suppressors actually are still loud as fuck. My cousin put a suppressor on, like on an AK the other day, shot it and goes, wait, that's a fucking suppressor? Because it was still sounding like there was no suppressor on it, okay? Yeah, no. They don't like totally remove the sound. It's probably only 50% of the sound. If not, then it's only removing like 40% of the sound. Not 60, not 70, not 80, not 90, not 100. Literally between 50 or less is how much sound is actually being suppressed from this, which means literally you can stand within 100 meters of someone and still hear them going, pew, 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 pew. Okay? And know the direction it's coming from. So suppressors never should have had a blacklist. Launchers, due to people actually bringing tanks to frontline bases to recapture them or to capture them at the very beginning of the game, when no one has a certain zone, both teams rush up to get it. Instead of a team having to take the extra seconds to minutes to actually, put the launcher in with its ammo, get a car, and then drive, maybe just let us spawn in with it. Right? It definitely for protection use, especially if I spawn on Point Alpha and it's literally at the front of the fucking pack where an enemy can drive up into a tank or an armored vehicle. I should be able to defend myself against tanks and armored vehicles. Launcher blacklists, horrible. Okay. So I agree with that. Why someone would make mod or 2 or 3 to get rid of get rid of the blacklist. It's dumb. It actually doesn't surprise me that someone's made, because it goes through a different file anyways, been able to make a mod to make the Hummingbird where privates can spawn them in. It surprises me. A mod where respawning, at least to MOB or MB, what I call main base, because if you look on the map, it doesn't say main operations base, it just says main base. To have 0 respawn timer surprises me. No, what's literally overwritten the main game or WCS's respawn timer. Like, no one's thought to do that. I haven't even seen a respawn timer that cancels that. Because I can type in WCS no, and then there's not anything that says WCS no respawn timer. I haven't seen it. Or if I just do WCS remove, I've never seen like a mod pop up that says WCS remove respawn timer. Right? It's weird. I've never seen those, but to me, they are very stupid. Especially for the vehicles that isn't, OP. Just like regular transport vehicles, getting a respawn timer is very weird. So, yeah, very weird for that. Again, this stream was just to cover like how the servers to ArmA Reforger are created and set up and how fucking headache they are to make. And why I feel like the developers, Bohemia Interactive and Nitrado, needs to get together to make something at least for mod installments as easy as it is for Ark Survival Ascended to be used for ArmA servers. And there should be a whole lot more you could be able to actually edit there too. I feel like an interactive, like pre-loadout setup should be great. Like click on a character name or like class and make up to 4 for a server and just make it where it's only 4. That way you can actually click like rifleman and then click like what outfit he wears, and then whatever mod is installed with the server when you go through the mod section should already add the new assets to that once you start the server and stop it, to where you can go in and actually add the modded gear on too to do your own custom loadouts. Would be awesome. Okay. There's a lot of stuff they can implement that they haven't, that I feel like they should. Because custom loadouts could just be something you do in Nitrado, again, with the same point and click system as they can do for their mods. And again, the mods should be a point and click to install than having to type or code in a text document for stuff to try to, be put into code correctly for the server to pick up to download. Just add it as a point and click and done. Okay. Next is, guys, if we're going to use short names for something to say faster, shorten the name correctly, right? MB, main base. You don't have to say O. It's not a mob. It's a main base. All right. MB, like megabyte main base. And I'm going to show that how redundant some of the name changes is, okay? Because to me it is very redundant. Let's go to a server that is partially empty. We'll say Rostov. And go over the redundancy of everything. Also, I don't think like updated versions of the mods should have to reinstall the lower version. So the newer version might have changed stuff, but technically it is the same exact mod with updated code. Yes, but also it still has everything from the old one. So I shouldn't have to re-download a old version of the game after getting the, most updated version. Would be kind of cool as well. But anyways, let's go into NATO. We're going to go here. And if I go right here, notice there is no word that says operation in that name. If I zoom out, zoom in, there is nothing saying operation in this name, in the name of this. It is MAIN space BASE space NORTH, which is main base north. So do we call this MBN? If we go to the enemy base, I believe it's actually south. So it'll actually say main base south. Would that be MBS? Right? Not MOB? There's no O in this, apart from Apollo, which again is just the code name to this. So shortening the name of this to be shorter would actually be better in 2 letters. The beginning letter of main and the beginning letter of base. MB. But anyways, guys, let's get outside of that. I just wanted to show you guys there is no words in operation there. So this is not a mob. It is just main base. MB. Not MOB. MB. So yeah, a little faster today. MB. MOB. MB. See how fast I can say MB compared to MOB? Just saying. I'm at MB compared to I'm at MOB. And if you want to be it slower, you can say I'm at MB. If you actually need to punctuate that in order to actually sound slower to make it more, hearable to what you're saying, so that way the syllables actually come out better. It's a lot to download there, my dude, especially between those two. But anyways, guys, I understand shortening names, okay? And I'm not going to punctuate on that too hard because, again, there's things I can go harsher on, like the legit dinosaur era of how the mod, like how the game wants to run servers with mods, because literally it feels like I'm in the Stone Age or less. Okay, with how you have to code every little detail. There's nothing in there to flip switches, click yes or no, or change by typing a number, right? For a lot of the stuff, you actually have to code it all the way out, which means you actually have to know how to code or script, if that makes sense. So they could have done a whole lot better to make server hosting easier, because at this point it is a headache to try to do it. Which, by the way, the DayZ server settings is the same. It's just a headache. But at least there's helpful automation tools to help you like automate like loadouts and like for custom loadouts, and tutorials on how to script things in correctly to call upon a file that is already pre-written for you when you do it, right? Through something that automates it for you compared to this. So, yeah, Bohemia. Let's get out of the dinosaur era of coding everything and make server hosting easier. That way people can get into servers for renting, set them how they want to, faster and easier, to waste as little time as possible for server setup and get the server out. And have less headaches of like having to like go back of what broken code or like what the fuck did I mess up because I'm stuck in a fucking restart cycle and it won't get out of a restart cycle and then full crashes. I mean, there's way easier ways around that. Way easier. And Arc already implements it. Like somehow, Digital Extremes, people who failed to get updates out on time, is still smarter, like way smarter than Bohemia, and at least knows how to actually implement mods to servers. Anyways, guys, it's very weird. We went over both like issues for server coding, but also the redundancies in WCS mods that need to be fixed. I hope this is very helpful to you guys. Hopefully this helps a developer down the road for both WCS and the actual main developers to ArmA. As always, I love every one of you guys. Stay awesome. I'll see you in a future stream here in a couple minutes on a different game.